All right, welcome. We're going to do a closing market wrap here for Monday. I'm going to point out the tech sector. We're going to go through some Faang stocks and really try to understand what today's price action meant. What was the technical, what did it mean technically, and what does it say about what's to come here in the future? Here's what we got. We're going to get right into it. But before I get started, if anyone is interested in me covering a stock that they want me to look at, then go ahead and put that in the comments below. And then finally, I put out a poll the other day about putting together a potential trading, kind of a trading course or technical analysis course. And I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to put that together. I've got to find some time between the chaos of life. And watching the markets during the day does take quite a bit of my time, but I'll be working on that a little here and a little there and put something together. Now, it's not going to be a trading course. I'm not going to tell everyone how to day trade or anything like that. What I'd rather cover is swing trading, technical analysis, how to read charts, at least the way that I read charts. And then money management will also be incorporated, and trade allocation, trade sizing, I guess. It's important. That's very important to understand how to size your trade properly. A lot of people improperly size, and then they get spooked out of a trade before it actually works out for them. They might find that a trade actually works out down the road, and technically they were right, but they got spooked out because their position size was wrong. So that's important. All right, getting right into the charts. All right, triple Qs. We're rallying today. They gapped it up and rallied it up right to resistance. And we've got about half an hour left of the trading day. I suspect they're going to close it right around here. We're at resistance. So here's how I did it. I saw today that they were rallying. So I took down half my triple Qs position. The way I'm not actually trading triple Qs, I'm trading XLK is what I was doing. My triple Qs, my broker wasn't able to find me shares to short of triple Qs, so I just grabbed some XLK to short the tech sector. But relatively, they're very similar, and I still use triple Qs that's how I chart the tech sector because it's very liquid. And Qs rallied right up to this 280.40 area, which is the level that I've talked about as resistance. So what I did, I took down half my position this morning, and then I just added it back as we ran right into that resistance. Now, if we break above here, and again, break above and get that close, that daily close that I've been looking for, or really even hourly closes might do it, then I'll go ahead and cover that short and look for a different opportunity. But for now, we're at resistance, and I like to short at resistance. That's what makes sense. Long at support, short at resistance. So I think, I don't think it's going to just close right here. I think they'll pop it. Maybe tomorrow they gap up and then it sells off. Usually you look for some sort of move around, kind of through the trend line that you're looking at. But if it's going to fail, then it should pretty much fail right here, whether you have a slight, intra-hour move above it and then it rolls over. So it's a good low risk area for me at least to add back that short exposure. Another thing to look at on the shorter term time frame is we are starting to get some negative divergence here in triple Qs. You can see we made a high right here and then a slightly marginal high right there, and the momentum was a little bit less. So if they make a new high anytime soon, it's going to be a divergent high, and there'll be negative divergence there. So good low risk area to short, I think, and so I'm going to watch for that. The daily doesn't have negative divergence, so the daily had some bullish divergence back a while ago, and that's kind of what this rally's been based on. So we're going to have to watch. There is obviously the potential for this rally to do a full back test of this broken trend line. And so I'm watching for that. And so this is an area for me that makes sense to add back that short exposure. But if it goes much higher and you get the close, then you just stop out and let it continue to run. So it's a low risk area where if you're wrong small, and if you're right, then it can roll over and be right much bigger. So that's how I'm doing it right now. SPY popping above this resistance here at 339.20. So it might want to run up to the next resistance, maybe pop it just slightly. I would look for 340, it's about 342.50 as the level. It should hold resistance there. Of course, they can pop it intra-hour or just barely move above it, but look for it to fail up around that level. If it doesn't fail, then then there's potentially a bigger rally that's being put together here. On the SPY, we do have negative divergence intact. Really, you can see we're making kind of lower lows here. This was like an equal low, but the momentum is really, it's kind of stalling out. It's just, popping. This one went slightly higher right there. So it might be not quite negative. So if it rolls over here, if the market starts to roll over here, that would be a lower low. And this price right up here is a higher high, a higher price than the previous high right here. So the momentum was a high. You see the peak right there in momentum. Price was here. And then you made a higher price and a lower momentum. And that's if this turns down pretty soon. Bonds continue to sell off. Here's BND. That's interesting. The bond market is kind of signaling a risk on trade where bonds are selling off. So not sure what this means. It can be read as money will flow into the markets and it's risk on, and the dollar is going to continue to get weaker. That's one way to read this. So that might be what's in play. So we're going to have to continue to watch this. Let's check out TLT. Good thing to look at as well. Yeah, you can see today, nice breakdown and continued selling throughout the day. So not good for bonds. Bonds are going lower, rates going higher. That's essentially how that works. And so we'll continue to keep an eye on what's going on here. There's no trade here that I see worth taking in bonds, BND or TLT. But it is continuing to break down. So we got to watch for what those signals are telling us. Gold. All right, look, gold's, we got about 20 minutes left, 25 minutes left in gold. Probably going to hold up here. And so we'll have to see what this means for gold. Gold could want to do a back test of this breakdown line up around 1963. So we might have to watch for that. And then that would mean the dollar might want to come down and do a full back test of this trend line down around 92, 91.80. As of right now, I don't expect that to happen. And you can see the momentum is continuing to move higher. And the dollar started to turn up with momentum. So I think this is just a fake out. I think the dollar is going higher. The momentum's saying the dollar is going to go higher. And in gold, the momentum is saying that that gold is going to go lower. So to me, it looks like a kickback rally, but we'll have to watch it. If I had to put money down on it right now, I would say gold's going lower, in the short term. Dollar's going higher. And I'm still looking for that $1,790, $1,800 level in gold bullion. Quick look at the VIX. Important to look. You can see the VIX is up today, 1.66%. It was up a lot more, but it's been selling off all day, but still not able to fully give back all those gains. So even though the VIX moved down today, it's still up for the day, unless they just dump it into the close. So that's something to pay attention to. You've got the S&P 500 up, and the triple Q's up, but you got volatility rising as well. That's SPY VIX. Here's NASDAQ VIX. NASDAQ VIX is down, so that makes sense that you've got NASDAQ VIX down, but the SPY VIX is up, and really the VIX, the SPY VIX is really the one that I watch for general market volatility. PAAS, What this looks like, it's in an up channel. Looks like it wants to fill this gap right up here at 34.62. There's a gap right here. Looks like it wants to run up and tag it, maybe overshoot it slightly, and I expect we'll probably fail around that level, but as of right now, this thing continues to move higher. So I'm going to let it do its thing and continue to move higher. And I got out of this the other day. I still think it's going lower, but you know, as an active trader, I do like to get the best positioning possible. So I'm going to try to grab it up here at this gap fill, see if that makes sense. XLF, just trading right around the resistance. We'll see where this closes. I expect it's going to close, you know, close to around this 24.70 level. So we'll just let that, you know, it's at 24.72 right now. So it's right in the area. Apple, Faang stocks. All right, so you've got this range here. Really the top of the range, I see it about 118.58. And I see that as resistance. It looks like it's running up to make another tag of that. Maybe we overshoot it a little bit. And we'll have to evaluate what happens there if I see any kind of reversal candle. The trend right now has been up. You know, obviously we made the low back here, and the trend has been up. We've been bouncing off support. So we're looking for signs that the trend's going to end in the short term. Longer term on the Apple stock, I mean, this is your uptrend, all right? This is your major uptrend for 2020. This trend was broken. So when I say the trend has been up, I'm talking about this little trend right here. And it's a short-term trend that has been up that I expect will fail and we will go lower. But as of right now, this little trend, it has been up. And you never know how, you know, this could turn into a big trend. We don't know. This could do a full back test of this broken trend line. We don't know. As of right now, this little trend has been up, and so we're watching for signs that this is going to reverse. Now, the Qs, we had that, going back to the Qs, we had that bull trap or bear raid right here, this candle on the daily, and that did get confirmation. Here's your confirming candle. So to me, this just looks like a kickback rally where that's going to roll over and fail as well. So we're still below resistance, and it's, you know, resistance is still holding. So this could be the end of this rally, and we'll have to just watch that. Microsoft continues to put in what looks like a head and shoulders pattern. You know, we're making this right shoulder, and the right shoulder is actually a little bit lower than the left shoulder in terms of price action, and that's kind of what you want to see. You want to see not as much enthusiasm on the right shoulder as traders start to exit, as they start to spot this head and shoulders pattern. So looking for this to roll over. If it goes, you know, too much higher, then it's going to invalidate this head and shoulders pattern. So as of right now, I'm anticipating that this rolls over. Amazon, again, just, you know, we're running up right to resistance, still below resistance. 3,206 is about resistance right there, and we're still below it. So, you know, you can chop around and consolidate and chop around below resistance all day long. You know, if you're not moving up and you're just consolidating, then watch for the breakdown. Google closing right there at resistance. Here it is. Here's my red line. I've got it marked out, and we're just, you know, closing right there. So they're going to keep us guessing for tomorrow. Redfin. Yeah, this one's kind of, it looks like it's trying to do a back test today. It's running up. So, you know, I don't have a position on this one. But I do, you know, this high that it just made is a divergent high. You can see here on the hourly chart right there. Right there. And if it turns down, then that would confirm that. So it is a divergent high, and it is a back test. Here's the daily. So what you want to see is the price to really start to turn down. I would expect, here's the hourly, if they pop it just a little bit higher up to this 54, you know, about 54.15 or so, then it should get rejected right up there. Oh, sorry, it's about 54.40 today. I don't know if they're going to get there today. Maybe they'll open right at that level tomorrow, and watch for that to get rejected if they open right there. DraftKings looking good here on the short that I have. Yeah, it's, you know, it had a kind of a final run up, but today we're starting to break down. You can see it's bear flagging right now. So here's your flag, or your flagpole. Your flag is something like this, you know, something like in that range. And then a break of that flag sets you up for a 50, you know, a tag of this 55, 53. So I think that's what's coming. 55, 50, you know, it's about 55, 55, 60. Of course, I always step in a little bit early and take profit. But 55, 60, I think, is what's on deck next. And from where we're at now, that's a drop of about 7%. So, and that would be the major target of this move. We'll probably get a reaction there, and we'll just, you know, continue to watch. But I think you get a reaction, and then I think, you know, we watch for it to come back down and break that level again, and then we look for the next lower target. Tesla looks weak to me. I think Tesla's about to break. It hasn't done it yet, but it's starting to give me the signs that it's going to do it. The reason why, let's look at the daily here first. Okay, here's your uptrend right here. And basically you can see reaction on the daily there, reaction there, reaction there. We had a reaction right in here. And we've recently broke that trend. We got a daily close yesterday, or on Friday, below that trend. And today they're doing a kickback rally, but still not able to recover the trend line. So that's bearish. The fact that the kickback rally, the seller stepped in at resistance and sold it down. If we go to the hourly, you can see they opened it way up here at a recovery, and it just sold off pretty much the rest of the day, getting a little bounce into the close. But for the most part, we're starting to do that sideways drift that you see sometimes when you break a major trend line. You'll break a trend line, instead of just dropping, you'll do this sideways drift where you'll do these little kickback rallies and back test that broken trend line, and then eventually that fails. So I don't know when, you know, I don't know if it's going to do back test or when it'll do those back tests. Could be a little bit higher, but if we're below trend, below the major trend, those are opportunities to build or add to a short position, in my opinion. And eventually the broken trend, or, you know, the trend will change to a downtrend. This has a lot of meat on the bone if it is going to break and move down. From where we're at now to my first, you know, really my kind of key profit target, you know, I'm looking at about a 47% drop there in Tesla. And, you know, that's pretty normal for this kind of a stock. When you get big drops, like here's a drop in Tesla, thing fell 63% there. You know, if I look at other drops that it's had, you know, from the high here down to the low here, 50%. So it can move. It will move around. If I go to the daily, you can see some of these drops that it's had. I mean, just here in this sideways range, when it dropped here, it fell, you know, 40%. So that's perfectly normal for this stock, and especially after this huge run that it's had, to have a little pullback down there. I think it's pretty reasonable. We've got negative divergence in play. Everything's in play. We're starting to break support levels, and so now you just have to sit there and wait. Here's a trade idea, LPX. They make some building supplies or something. So here's what we got. We've got an uptrend right here. This is the uptrend from, you know, really the March, April lows. Nice clean uptrend. Lots of reactions on this daily chart here. We broke that trend a while ago. I shorted this when it broke up here. So it's not the cleanest, most objective area to short now. The trades already started to completely play out, but maybe we're kicking back to resistance. So you can see here we broke, chopped up a little bit more, ran up and did a back test right there, and then it started to resolve the actual trend to the downside, which was forecasted in with negative divergence. You can see here, look at this, negative divergence right there as we were making a higher price right there. So this price right there was a divergent high, just barely made a divergent high, and then and it was forecasted right there with negative divergence. We started to roll over. So we're continuing to downtrend, just having an up day today in a downtrend. Maybe we kick back up to this 31.12, or maybe we start to roll over and hit some of these support levels. Got a gap right here, so gap fill at 27.90, it looks like, about 27.90. is, I think, in the on the cards or on the table for the near term. And then we'll look to see what else this thing wants to do. PHM here, just kind of back testing. So this thing continues to do this. It just is kind of creating a secondary price channel below the broken trend. Here's your broken trend on PHM. Lots of reactions here. We broke trend, back test 1, back test 2, kickback rally today after it sold off. But the key takeaway is when it was at this level right up here, which is resistance, it could have gone either way. You know, it opened right there, and rather than buyers stepping in enthusiastically and saying, you know what, this is not, you know, this is worth more, and buying it up above this support, they didn't do that. They stepped in and sold. So it's sold down. You're getting a little bit of dip buyers come in and buy it up, but it's still going to close at a lower price than kind of where it was at. So that's the takeaway, is the opportunity was there for the bulls to take charge and run it back above support, and they didn't do that. So that tells me that, you know, all these kickback rallies, one day you're going to wake up and it's going to be a gap down, and it's going to sell off, and it's going to wipe out all these kind of these gains where it's been doing this kickback rally, and it's going to start to trend downward. Same deal with Carvana. I actually took a short position in this one today, just to start a short position. These tech stocks love to do these kickback rallies, and you got a lot of momentum. So there's a lot of people that won't realize the momentum's gone, so they're just going to continue to buy, and they'll cause these kickback rallies. But eventually, I think that the trend and the smart money will start smashing these things down. And then you'll see the kind of the people who were late to the party with the momentum trade, they'll start to panic sell. And that will be a big move to the downside. So starting a short position here on Carvana, you can see this one looks really good to me. You've got an uptrend right here in Carvana. It broke trend, drifted kind of down, gapped up, but has failed to be able to recover that support line yet. Tried to there, tried to again. And so I think we're going to at least fill this gap in the near future. 173.57 is what I'm looking at for my target. All right, I'm going to wrap it up here. Again, if you guys want some new trade ideas or anything, or if you're looking at certain things, I'm going to be browsing around looking for certain things. But, you know, you don't have to have 50,000 different trade ideas. You know, you just need to be right on the ones you can find. So far, the ideas that I've put out there, I still like them. They still technically look good. And they're just, you know, it takes time sometimes for these things to set up. The difference between trading like I do versus just jumping on momentum is with momentum trading, when you jump on that trade, usually you're instantly right. You're instantly rewarded. I was right. Everything looks good. I knew I was right. That's kind of how it makes you feel, because the trend is up. So if something's just going up and you jump on, you know, it just says, okay, you were right. And it usually makes you feel like you were right instantly. However, a lot of the time you're catching the end move of a trend. And what I'm trying to do is catch the beginning move of a trend, where in the beginning, when you enter the trade, oftentimes you don't know you're right away, because the momentum is still there, but the price supports are broken, or divergences are intact, are starting to build. So it's telling you that the trend is about to reverse, and I'm looking to catch, you know, the big part, the early part of the move, which is usually the biggest part of the move. The early money typically gets the biggest part of the move, and then the late money gets kind of the end of the move. And so oftentimes you think you're wrong for a while, and then all of a sudden you realize you're right, and everybody else realizes they're wrong, and then they all shift sides into your position, and you're cashing out usually at that time or close to. So that is that's how I do it. I'm continuing to see those trades that I pointed out, continue to, look good technically. Nothing's been broken on a lot of these trade ideas. So I'm going to continue to ride, to stick with them until I see something change technically. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Leave me a comment below, and I'll talk to you later.